Because I thought after I played last night, I was like, you know what I need? I need to understand the lore. If I understand the lore, that's obviously what's gonna make me really like cracked at the game. It's really gonna like up my level. You could say. That's the only thing that makes sense, scientifically, of course. But I'm very excited here to get into this. I mean, low key, it's a little bit of a long one here. I might skip through a couple parts if I think if I think the lore isn't as important in that part, I might Skypea it. Don't get me wrong, I never skip Skypea. Anybody who skips Skypea is so upset now because it's so detrimental to the One Piece lore. And anybody who doesn't watch One Piece is so confused that I just said the word Skypea. But if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Mont Blanc Nolan type shit. But let me hit this bong so we get into this motherfucker. I just got done shooting bricks playing Terraria. I mean, not Terraria, Subnautica. So I need to relax.
Terraria is a game that I hold very, very close to my heart. Not only do I share a birthday with it, but it's also one of my favorite and most played games of all time. I think I played the game, millions questioning what the presence of an eldritch being like Cthulhu. The game's most recognizable and often...
Maybe I shouldn't have missed that. What the hell is an Eye of Cthulhu? I mean, obviously it's the Eye of Cthulhu. But why is that in a 2D game?
First boss single-handedly had millions questioning what the presence of an eldritch being like Cthulhu could mean, though I doubt most of the people who have played Terraria cared to think past that. The story simply isn't the point of the game. Well, 14...
That's not true, man. Right? Real nigga like me, I got mad storylines going on between my NPCs. Right now, my nurse and the painter, they were dating, but now they got beef. They broke up. That's my storyline. And the painter's debating on moving to the new underground city, and the pirate's gonna move in. And you know how the pirate get down with the ladies, but the princess also lives there. So I think they're gonna throuple, if we gonna be for real.
Years and a laughable amount of fine...
I treat my Terraria NPCs like Sims.
No updates later, the game has actually managed to produce what I would designate a semi-cohesive story, though developers have clarified
semi-cohesive? Okay.
That the game's lore is purposefully vague. I've put together my own interpretation of the game using the clues left behind. And
so he made it all up. He made it all up. I feel bullshitted. Nah,
and today, I'd like to share that vision with you. So with that said, my name is Minaxa, and today I'm gonna tell you the...
Now, is his real name Minaxa, though? Like, does he go, what, do he walk up to people in person and be like, hi, I'm Minaxa? Is that what we're doing now?
Story of Terraria's lore.
Like, you think Burnt Peanut walks up to people like, hey, I'm Burnt Peanut. Like, come on, bro.
Sit back, grab a snack, and let's get right into it.
Got my snack.
But before I can tell you about the lore of Terraria, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Raycon.
Hey, go watch the video yourself, though, and watch the ad if you watch it. Not watching that shit.
Now, before we truly begin our journey, we need to know what happened before our time. The legend of Terraria passed down by the Order of the Guide tells us of this.
By the Order of the Guide? You mean that one dude that I murder all the time so I can fight the fucking... Wow, my brain is fumbling. So I can fight the wall of flesh. Flesh of wall.
Tale of good and evil. A marvelous recollection of a war and its consequences on the world. And it goes like this. In the beginning, the gods established a balance within nature and created infinite, parallel Terraria worlds. Each world is a living being that feels and knows everything that happens in them, and each was given the task of maintaining balance and order.
So you're saying when I was 15, and me and my friend took to the, what's it called? The mining drills that you ride, like the ultimate drill, and we mined out an entire world that felt that. I wonder what that feels like to be dug out completely. Maybe I don't wonder what that feels like. Pause.
At all costs. Centuries before our time, the world of Terraria was full of life, different creatures and peoples all living together. Whether or not this was a time of peace or a time of war, we really don't know, save for a specific, prosperous ancient city. Unfortunately, these times of relative peace would come to an end with the appearance of a powerful being known as
Is it Cthulhu? I think it's Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, craving nothing but
Called it.
destruction. His presence threatened not only the mentioned city, but the entirety of Terraria. This conflict would later be known as the War of Cthulhu. A powerful race known as the Dryads, who had an innate connection to the land, managed to fend him off, but they
The Huz fought off Cthulhu. Understood.
weren't powerful enough to kill him outright. Instead, they inflicted heavy damage, ripping out his eyes, spine, and parts of his skeleton and brain, forcing a retreat to the dark side of the moon. There he'd slowly regenerate his power and plot to someday return.
There he was, on the dark side of the moon.
Of all the Dryads, only one survived this war, leaving the future of the world in dire straits. Even though Cthulhu had been banished, he could still influence the world from the moon, spreading evil and hatred throughout. Countless horrible and unnatural creatures began to roam the realm, and many found themselves struck with a fascination, as opposed to fear, of Cthulhu. Because of this, a small group of cultists formed with the goal of assisting in his revival, led by a particularly obsessed zealot. Regarding the ancient city,
Is it the lunatic cult? Is that it?
the skeletal remains of Cthulhu were so powerful on their own that
He's doing a lot of presentation here to be like, okay, the skeleton of Cthulhu's in the dungeon, the spine is like in the corruption, Crimson's got the brain, Cthulhu's obviously his eyes. What's he saying here?
decaying down to their bones, forever living on its entirety,
what's
own
he saying?
that their mere presence manifested a curse on its entirety. The curse caused everyone in the city to go insane, living long past their due and decaying down to their bones.
Oh, so you're saying the dungeon used to be like a city, but they're like cursed.
Forever left to rot in what was now a dungeon. A benevolent old man is also affected by this curse, being forced to act as the guardian of the dungeon. Never
Is he forced? I feel like he's just kind of homeless. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's forced to do shit. I just don't think he wants to build a house himself. Like, he's like, oh, well, there's this big city, this big dungeon I could live in. If I don't go very deep, he won't kill me. That's my interpretation of it.
being allowed to leave, he would transform into the giant skeletal remains of Cthulhu should anyone attempt to break in. The role was likely
Does he transform as much as just gets murdered?
thrust upon him by the cult, who accommodated the city and eventually used it as a base of operations. The parts of Cthulhu's brain and spine also went on to influence the world after they were left behind, becoming the rulers of two separate forces that would aggressively attempt to overthrow the world balance. The remaining
Unless you got Dig Toys. Shout out Dig Toys.
Terrarians, who avoided terrible fates whether due to the curse or Cthulhu's wrath, went into hiding. The great civilizations that once inhabited the world faded into mere memory,
Is that why the Truffs be underground?
and much time passed. Eventually, the cult identified a genius engineer capable of greatly expediting their cause. Against his will, they instruct the old man to kidnap this genius and bring her to the dungeon. With no
Okay, like, how against his will is it, though? Like, it's not like they can just kill him. They'll just spawn a giant fucking dungeon monster. So like against his will, but like I mean, he kind of just did that shit.
With her choice, she provides the cult with mechanical reconstructions of Cthulhu's body parts, either in an effort to assist Cthulhu or make a new Cthulhu entirely. If she had finished the mechanical brain, it may have spelled doom for the entire world, this time for good.
Real ones know in the I want to say it's like the Xbox edition. There is a version of the brain.
And that's where we
It's called like Akram's brain or some shit. I've never actually fought it before.
come in. At last, our journey.
So finally, Buddy's here. Also, why'd you pick it? Why do you just look like another version of the guide? Like out of everything you could have made, you okay, another version of the guide was your choice.
Begins in a forest with nothing to our name except for some rudimentary tools. Strangely, someone
Real niggas go purple skin. That's all I'm saying.
else is here with us, Scott the Guide. We don't know
Scotty.
much about the guides, aside from the fact that they are an organized group that passes down their accumulation of knowledge across generations, including the legend that I just told. So, fittingly, he seems to be here to help us navigate this unfamiliar world.
So what I'm hearing is you just re-spewed guide text. But he just reworded guide text. Nah, I am fucking with the video so far. I'm fucking with you.
His first piece of advice leads us to begin gathering some useful resources and begin putting together a basic shelter. Before long, though, night falls, and it's here that we learn that floating demon eyes and the undead rule the night. In this world, it's kill or be killed. With the outside avenues surrounding,
Bro, he definitely had to put it in hard mode for that, because they just don't have that much health in normal mode. Facts.
surrounded by enemies, our only option is to dig down and wait until the night passes. Thankfully, the underground
You just sound pussy. But a real nigga like me, I'm beating all their asses.
is also a place that provides. During this spelunking, we receive a message that a person has actually moved into our home, Milton the Merchant. This proves that
Bro, you ever met a nigga named Milton that's not lame as hell? Come on.
the land of Terraria has more people than just us and the guide, though most are probably travelers who don't see any value in or are incapable of making their own permanent settlements. Speaking to him, the first thing he says, "I hope a scrawny kid like you isn't all that is standing between us and Cthulhu's eye." This serves as a reminder that the threat of Cthulhu is still ever present in the minds of everyone, and we are apparently in no shape to face this.
We won't forget. Terraria's We Won't Forget Day. Bro, is it wrong to say Terraria's equivalent of 9/11 was Cthulhu? What's crazy is none of these people are alive for it except for the Dryad. That's my girl, though. What up, Diego Chavez?
Issue. Though, even just in our first day, we've managed to gather a few things to make ourselves considerably stronger. And by now, it should be clear that the land has an abundance of resources that it can provide us with. We
The land provides. Ooh-ah.
just need to work to gather and refine them into tools we can use to defend ourselves.
Catch, Cook, Kill, Terraria edition. Bro, is it bad? Whenever the Epstein files was released, which obviously terrible, but is it so bad? What up, Diego? Bro, is it so bad? My first reaction was, damn, Epstein was really catch, clean, cook on babies, dog. Like he was really catch, clean, cook. He would probably watch the Catch, Clean, Cook, and it was like, let me try that, and then just whipped out a baby. Not funny, but kind of crazy. It's kind of funny. It's a little funny. Catch, clean, cook on a baby. Come on, bro. They was tripping over on that island. You can't. This is why you can't let people just have islands. No habla. My bad. This is why you can't just let anybody have an island. You really shouldn't just let any one person own an entire island, because they bound to just start wilding out. If we're gonna be for real. I think if you own an island, like 99% chance after a couple years you're gonna start doing some crazy shit. Just because you're gonna feel like a mini warlord. You know what I mean? If I own an entire island, I'd feel like a mini warlord. Like, everybody on this island kind of has to listen to me right now. This is my fucking island.
Interestingly, natural resources are not all that can be found. There are cabins, chests, and statues littered throughout the underground, lending credence to the fact that somebody had to have been down here before us. Although, considering the dilapidated state of them all, this was clearly a long time ago. One of these cabins contains a curious little item, a suspicious-looking eye, said to summon the Eye of Cthulhu that we just learned about. After equipping newfound items and
What up, Jade?
making preparations, we set out to explore the outskirts of the world in search of more, only to find a terrible, decaying wasteland to the east of our settlement.
I'm not gonna lie, the video is kind of devolving into him just like describing a playthrough.
That we have opened in the legend as a cancer caused by the sins of those living in the world of Terraria. It knows nothing else but to consume everything it touches, leaving behind terrible creatures of hate that exist for the sole reason to cause pain in punishment for the unearned pleasure experienced by living things. After it restores balance to life, it destroys it, with the goal of turning the entire world into a desolate abyss, void of life. This force is but one of several that act in tandem to maintain this sense of balance within the world of Terraria.
Loki's skipping past the humble beginnings, just because it feels like he's genuinely just describing like playing pre-hard mode.
The front entrance is guarded by the cursed old man, who tells us that we are not nearly strong enough to free him from his master. He clearly has our safety at heart, so for now we must leave him to his own devices. With that said, we then build an ocean town and some more throughout the world in order to establish a pylon network for ease of travel. In the process of building housing on the outskirts, goblin scouts occasionally appear with hostile intent. Defeating them drops some tattered cloth, a material that we could use to summon their entire army. It's interesting to note that there are quite a few travelers and other races hiding away in the world still, but they lack the level of scale and organization that the civilizations of Terraria once had. Among those
The civilizations just keep showing the one dungeon. The civilizations that Terraria once had the one dungeon.
that do show up is someone very important, the final Dryad. Before we can get the opportunity to talk to her, the blood moon rises, which means new creatures
Not the blood moon.
to terrorize the night. The villagers become noticeably more irritable during this event, and many that would normally be peaceful are transformed into evil.
Him using the nurse there, because you realize on the blood moon
To terrorize the night.
Wait.
The villagers become transformed into evil.
You realize it doesn't really matter, but you realize on the blood moon, the whole thing with the nurse is she's supposed to be on her period. It's like they get weirdly agitated. It's like, yeah, I think it's because she's supposed to be on her period. Like, that's the whole thing. And obviously, it's not how it works in real life, but that's how it works in Terraria. Blood moon, period. Boom. Facts.
Versions of themselves. Considering the similar theme of being corrupted and the bloody grotesque creatures aligning with the Crimson, I wouldn't be surprised if this blood moon was an unnatural phenomenon caused by Cthulhu's influence reaching all the way from the dark side of the moon. Once the jungle town is finished, we can finally speak with the last remaining.
I mean, it would make sense if the blood moon was caused by the giant eldritch god that's living on the other half of it.
Dryad from the legend.
Make a strong point there.
When talking to her, we can even check the status of our world, with it currently being 8% corrupt. She insists that we must cleanse the world, and also mentions she's 500 years old.
Damn, MILF.
This implies that Cthulhu's invasion could have taken place as much as around 5 centuries ago. It's possible she had been in hiding ever since then, but with the defeat of Cthulhu's eye, she mustered the confidence to come to us and guide us towards a brighter future. So now we have a secondary objective: bring the world to a state of complete purity. Although she sells a purification powder which could help the cause, it isn't nearly effective enough to use on a large scale. Until we get better tools to accomplish this task, it will unfortunately have to be put on hold.
The Cleansinator.
Later, we find and locate the Aether, a small area that contains a mysterious liquid with transmutative properties. Although any information regarding its origin is limited or non-existent, its ability to transform NPCs into alternate versions of themselves leads me to believe it may have something to do with a connection between the infinite parallel worlds that exist within the Terraria universe. Back at home base, we gather enough
Headcanon 101 leads me to believe.
materials to craft a goblin battle standard, figuring that the army will likely show up sooner or later to search for their fallen scouts. And so, the battle begins. And still defeated, breaking two nearly on the brink of death for arguably more of the fight than not. Regardless, the Eater of Worlds, the deity of the corruption, is defeated. With new equipment bolstering our defense, we can now use gravitation potions to safely explore the skies above, encountering many floating sky islands and empty
He is just describing a run at this point, to be fair.
buildings still in pristine condition. We have no idea who created these houses or who previously inhabited them, but either way, they left behind many things to aid in our quest. Later on, in the midst of selling the spoils from the Sky Islands for a profit, slime begins to rain from the sky. This
Slime! There's slime falling from the sky!
peculiar event culminates in the summoning of the King Slime, a conglomeration of dozens of blue slimes that came together to form a leader greater than the sum of their parts. Curiously, we can see a person, just like us, actually stuck inside of it, but when we defeat this slime, only his clothes drop, implying
We'd have fried him.
he may have dissolved in the process of our fight. Oops.
Whoops. My bad.
With the surface and skies of the world all but fully explored, the only remaining option is to dig until we reach the bottom, and in doing so we encounter a new, sinister area of the underground. Hell. Immediately we find an enemy called a voodoo demon carrying a suspiciously familiar guide voodoo doll, with its description reading,
God, voodoo doll. What would I do with that?
"You are a terrible person." This item's purpose and existence are pretty mysterious. It can be used to hurt the guide, but why would we want to? Why was a demon carrying this item? And where did it come from? The guide was already a mysterious figure, possessing oddly specific knowledge about the world. Either way, it's clear that something terrible will happen if we use the doll, so for now, we move on to doing other things. We find and free the bound goblin tinkerer who says he was tied up and left underground by the other goblins. He allows
Felt like a very sudden jump. Like we're doing that, and then we finally got him Tinker also.
us to combine many of the accessories we've acquired so far, which puts us at a point in which we can contend with the old man's curse. So, that night, we return to the entrance of the ancient city and confront the dungeon's guardian once more, and the battle begins. In an instant, the old man transforms into the cursed remains of Cthulhu's skeleton. His massive hands flail through the air, and upon them being destroyed, he's fate out of everyone insane or rot like the rest of them. At the very least, they weren't conscious of what was happening. He's likely been forced to reside outside the dungeon for decades or even centuries, and nobody has ever been powerful
Again, forced is crazy. He could have just kind of did what he wanted, because if anyone killed him, he would just turn to a giant demon.
enough to free him of his curse. Until now. And defeated the three parts of Cthulhu present in summoning, alchemy, and capable of utilizing mechanical and magical weapons. Of particular note are the faction flags and paintings that can be found all over the place. Now, the 6 faction flags are a bit less interesting, but I find it cool that they can be associated with certain adversaries within the dungeon. The obvious implication here is that the ancient city once had conflicting groups with different interests, which I think is just a fun detail to uncover. More interesting, though, is the paintings that can be found in the dungeon. Many of them depict events tied directly to Cthulhu, such as the Blood Moon, the Old Man, and the recreations of Cthulhu. While looting the dungeon, we find someone of particular interest
I feel like he didn't give us much. He said much more interesting are the paintings. Said what they were, but didn't like describe them.
to us as well, the mechanic, tied up and abandoned. But we didn't in a hurry. Afterwards, we rumors and hushed whispers among the wider world. Cthulhu recreations were merely rumors and hushed whispers among the wider world, at least according to the legend. So with this in mind, we can evaluate how the cult operates. They don't feel the need to appear before us directly, rather preferring to work in the shadows away from attention. But even though it was indirect, we had finally gotten to the point where we could disturb their plans. After freeing him from his curse, the old man moves in as the clothier. Both the clothier and the mechanic share a mutual hatred towards each other, though for some odd reason, they don't quite seem to remember why.
Now, why would the clothier hate her? He was the one who kidnapped her. Why would he hate her?
In her presence, the clothier says, "I keep having vague memories of tying up a woman and throwing her in a dungeon." Likewise, all the mechanic has to say about him is that he doesn't know how to treat a woman. The mechanic also tells the player that she hates the caverns if you bring her to them, remarking that it reminds her of a traumatic experience. But once again, she doesn't specify what she means by that. In general, I find it hard to believe the mechanic wouldn't warn us of the machines she built while she was trapped in the dungeon, so I believe both of them had their memories tampered with by the cult. Later on, after getting acquainted...
Man, she just don't want us to bong her ass for motherfucking making the Cthulhu parts. She knows we would've got her up out of here.
With each other, the
Can't be working for the enemy like that.
mechanic and goblin tinkerer develop mutual feelings. In fact, most of the villagers have someone they particularly enjoy being around, whether it be out of romantic interest, strange infatuation, or just plain old camaraderie. So clearly, we've managed to turn the world into a safer place for those who lived in fear of Cthulhu, defeating many evils on our path.
I mean, they were literally all in hiding before, so yeah, I'd say it is safer.
The villagers are comfortable enough to express themselves and their interests and intermingle with each other. But with that being said, now what do we do? We can't possibly hope to take on Cthulhu as it stands, but the world has run out of means for us to grow stronger. When asking the guide for assistance, he only has one more piece of advice for us. When you are ready to challenge the keeper of the underworld, you will have to make a living sacrifice. Everything you need for it can be found in the underworld. I think it's finally time to talk about the suspicious history of our guide. Having an abundance of accumulated knowledge is reasonable, but the guide doesn't just know a lot, he knows everything about everything.
He's the CIA. The guide works for the CIA, and he's an operative sent for Terraria PSYOP. I figured it out.
It begs the question, is there more to the guide than meets the eye? I believe there is. Earlier, I purposefully ignored the most important dungeon painting in order to bring it up at this very moment. It's a parody of the creation of Adam, titled The Creation of the Guide. The original famous painting was a depiction of the biblical Adam, the first man, being created by God
Wait, so we're saying the guide is Jesus?
in his image. This biblical parallel is
Or Adam? My bad.
no coincidence. We know that each Terraria world is alive and aware of everything happening on it, which seems to mirror the characteristics of an omnipresent god. Not only that, but the legend also tells us of a guardian who serves as the world's master, its protector. Considering the evidence, I can say with confidence that this guardian is the guide himself, sent to us by the world. He is the living sacrifice, and the voodoo doll being burnt in hell is simply a convenient method for us to perform this sacrifice. His instruction, therefore, is made clear. If we can't surpass him here, we aren't worthy of continuing our journey. This isn't just a
I don't know why it's like skeeving me out right now.
challenge from the man who helped us get this far. It's a challenge from the world itself. And so, we accept, and the battle begins. After the doll melts in the lava, a giant moving
Damn, no bridge?
wall of flesh, eyes, and mouths appears and makes its way towards us. The very sight makes us horrified. What even is this thing that we're looking at? How was this
No bridge is definitely bold.
the guide's true form the whole time? Regardless, using everything
Oh, wait, he's got lava walking, never mind.
that he taught us, we stand our ground and eventually defeat the World Guardian. With the World Guardian slain, the ancient spirits of light and dark previously held back are released into the world. According to the legend, these spirits were freed in an attempt to expedite the search for a new Guardian, which I believe is now our role to fill. But this process has severe consequences for the world at large, as it simultaneously greatly expedites the spread of the corruption and introduces a new force, the overcompensation of purity known as the Hollow. Although the world is now in greater peril than it has been for perhaps centuries, the spoils of our victory against the Guardian included a hammer that lets us smash the demonic altars in the corruption, leading to stronger metals for us to find underground. Given enough time, we collect enough to make weapons and gear far surpassing anything we've previously had access to, and simultaneously, we discover some sinister objects along the way. The mechanical eye, worm, and skull, all clearly similar to the object we used to summon Cthulhu's eye at the beginning of our journey. Each object summons one of the 3 mechanical simulacrums of Cthulhu's body parts that were
Damn, vocab word of the day, simulacrums.
completed by the mechanic. Across 2 nights, we swiftly defeat the twins, Destroyer, and Skeletron Prime.
I hate how he made that look easy, in my lie. I hate that he just made that look easy.
And upon landing the final blow, the upset in the balance of power causes a disturbance within the jungle. With the mechanic under our protection, the cult has no hope of rebuilding these parts and will have to resort to some other avenue.
Yeah, because the mechanic knows if she goes back, it's lights out.
To meet their goals. In the meantime, we craft new gear using the souls of Might, Fright, and Sight, along with the metal scraps from their armor. The source of this strange metal, known as hollowed bars, are unknown, but I would guess that the mechanic was the only one who knew how to build with it, and the souls contained within the mechs were probably stolen from the dungeon. Moving over to the jungle to investigate the disturbance, we can find a peculiar glowing pink bulb. Once prepared, we harvest the bulb, only to awaken Plantera, the jungle's dormant floral guardian. And so, the battle begins. Once we take her down, screams echo from the dungeon, and she
Not gonna lie, the progress he started making has expedited since he entered hard mode. You know what I mean? Like now it feels like he's really like chugging through a lot of the game.
provides us with a temple key. Much earlier in our journey, during our initial exploration of the underground jungle, we encountered the entrance to this temple, but
I feel like it would have been smarter if maybe I skipped over it, but I feel like he should have mentioned it.
naturally it was locked. It's only now that we can finally go inside to uncover the lizard people. The bestiary describes them as reclusive people, implying that they may have locked themselves away of their own volition, or it was simply used to describe the fact that they were locked away. Strangely, the witch doctor who appears after Queen Bee
It's because they made Facebook and they got enough money that they didn't really have to like participate in society anymore, or something like that.
is defeated is one of these lizard people, but can be found outside the temple, which the bestiary notes is unusual. Their intent to distance themselves is further supported by the excessive amount of deadly traps present in the temple, and the fact that they built themselves a stone guardian, known to us as Golem, in the deepest and largest chamber. Considering the general theming and iconography surrounding the temple, it seems reasonable to assume that the lizard people worship the sun. with Golem being a physical construct meant to harness the sun's
Yeah, probably is a safe assumption. I'll give you that.
power through the use of the power cells. The temple also contains chests, some of which have solar tablets in them, and these tablets are capable of willfully calling forth a solar eclipse. This relationship to the sun they clearly have is also thematically appropriate if you assume they fled underground to hide from Cthulhu, who represents the moon. And while I do believe they ended up locked in the temple because they fled from Cthulhu, it still doesn't explain why the key was in Plantera's possession. Perhaps it was given to her intentionally to place it under her protection, or maybe it was stolen from them by the witch doctor, explaining why he isn't locked away with the rest of his people. Either way, the temple isn't the only thing that we gained access to following Plantera's defeat, as the dungeon is now infested with stronger adversaries, perhaps being the cult's attempt to deter any further progress. Unfortunately for them, if this is the case, it has the complete opposite effect, providing us with what we need to triumph over the Temple Guardian. Following this, Martians unexpectedly invade from space, but this is nothing more than a bump on the road for us now. Their defeat merely serves as yet another stepping stone to make us stronger for our battle against Cthulhu, which, by now, doesn't seem too far away. But the cult knows this too.
The cult knows this too.
The cult has had their eyes on us, perhaps the entire time we've been on
They're watching you.
our journey. But defeating Golem was too much for them to ignore. They couldn't afford to hide in the shadows anymore. 4 members gathered outside the dungeon entrance and began a ritual. 2 devotees worship the mysterious tablet above, while the other 2 archers stand guard. What's their goal in performing this ritual? To summon Cthulhu? To help him gain back his power on the moon? To prevent him from coming back too soon? These are all questions we can't yet answer. For now, we need to make preparations for whatever they're planning. So we take on the solar eclipse to craft the Terra Blade, and the pumpkin moon to craft spooky wings. And those final preparations give us the confidence we need
Spooky wings.
to disturb their ritual. The 4 cultists are weak and go down in an instant, but a 5th appears out of
Bro, I'm telling you, that's what the melee class is so bullshit. Cause you don't, bro, you're basically just range with hella fucking defense.
thin air, the leader of the cult. He siphons the power from the tablet and rises into the air, preparing to attack you. And so, the battle begins. At this point, the potential outcomes of this battle are ambiguous at best. We don't know if we successfully interrupted the ritual and he's fighting out of revenge, or if his absorbing the emblem's power was actually him continuing the ritual and he's simply fending us off until he finishes it. With the power he absorbed, the lunatic cultist uses ancient magic in a desperate fit to get rid of us, but he could never be successful. He was too late, and so we defeat him.
Oh.
But something is wrong. The cultist's defeat acts as a catalyst for a terrible calamity as connections with 4 planets are made, and the hostile inhabitants of each begin to invade through these connections.
Brody tricked you. Him dying was the plan the whole time.
4 celestial pillars appear at the crossroads between worlds: the Nebula, Solar, Vortex, and Stardust pillars. In the bestiary, these pillars are described as towers that hold the seal, locking away a terrifying tyrant. The alien adversaries that accompany them guard them with their life and must be defeated in order to damage and eradicate them. These seals are all that's left between us and Cthulhu. But you might be wondering, why would we want to break these seals? Shouldn't we prevent Cthulhu from showing up? Where did this invasion even come from, and how is the cultist's defeat connected to it? It doesn't make sense for the cult to perform the ritual that we interrupted out in public view when they were operating in the shadows all this time, especially when the 4 that were there to oversee it were so weak. I believe this ritual was a trap to lure us in.
So, like I said, he knew it the whole time. It was a trap.
lunatic cultist wanted us to show up and stop the ritual so they could swoop in at the last second and absorb all of the power being collected in the mysterious tablet. Then, they did genuinely intend on getting rid of us right then and there using that power, but they realized towards the end of the battle that they were inevitably going to fail. So in a last-ditch effort, they used all of their remaining power to summon the Celestial Invasion. This is why the message, "Celestial creatures are invading," appears immediately before the lunatic cultist has been defeated. Of course, this plan does still have its holes. Cthulhu hadn't finished regenerating his body or power quite yet, but the lunatic cultist doesn't care about the consequences that this gambit might have. They simply wanted Cthulhu to return, and they were forced to play their final hand. And if we were on any ordinary journey, as any ordinary hero, this plan would have worked. We would have died many, many times attempting to thwart the Celestial Invasion.
It kind of seems like he did die many, many times.
But we're not normal heroes. One after the other, one by one, each pillar goes down, and from it emerge powerful
But he did die a lot.
fragments that can be used to synthesize our most powerful weapons yet. Upon each pillar being destroyed, something terrifying happens to us. Your mind goes numb. You are overwhelmed with pain. Otherworldly voices linger around you. And finally, impending doom approaches. With a certain uneasiness crawling down our back, we make our preparations as the final battle crests the horizon. The culmination of our efforts will be tested here and now, as he approaches. Practically a god, his power knows no limits. The mastermind behind all terrors which befall the world is finally freed from his lunar prison. The Moon Lord, Cthulhu. As expected, he's extremely strong. His attacks pack a punch and there's a lot of them. He has 3 true eyes of Cthulhu situated on his hands and forehead, with the latter shooting a massive laser that devastates anything in its path. It's no wonder that Cthulhu was nearly able to single-handedly destroy the world all those centuries ago. But we're just barely stronger. One by one, the 3 eyes are damaged and released, eventually opening the way to his now exposed core. In the end, it seems like we might lose, being on the very brink of death, but finally, we defeat him.
Yes.
The evil that once threatened the very existence of Terraria has been vanquished by us, the heroes who started our journey with nothing more than a copper short sword, a guide, and a dream. And now we've become more powerful of a being than he ever was, and have rightfully claimed our role as the World Guardian. That being said, our journey isn't over. Not yet. We still have a favor to fulfill.
There's more? But wait, there's more. Oh, you gotta clear it out for her? He's literally going trying to find every single piece of it. It's gonna be like 1%.
For the first time in centuries, the world is pure. We've conquered every enemy, gained all the power we can gain, and saved the world from Cthulhu's wrath. Terraria is finally at peace. But I suppose that's not entirely true. Sure, we saved this world, but remember, Terraria is composed of infinite worlds. This journey and its outcome was but one of millions of potential possibilities. There's still countless worlds to explore, Cthulhu's to defeat, and even greater such things.
Closing thoughts.
Interpretation of Terraria's lore. Since you got this far, I'd like to personally thank you for...
Fair enough. I mean, if you want to watch the parts that I skipped over, you obviously can go check out the video. You know, at a certain point, it did break down to him just describing a playthrough. I think it was enjoyable, though. It was fun. It's also impressive. I mean, he did just beat Moonlord in expert mode, just casually doing this. But it's cool. Cool little video. If you're watching on the YouTube video after the stream, come check out the stream sometime. Let me know anything else you might want me to react to. And thank you.